branding and marketing. So with graphics specifically. So as I was saying, everybody kind of has their thing that's kind of your strong suit. And that's one of mine. I've always been like very artsy. I love graphic design. I love like all medias of art. I mean, I've got paintbrushes and all kinds of stuff. I'm an art person. So for me, graphics are fun. I know it's not an income producing activity, so it's not smart to pour every bit of your time into it, but I'm going to touch a little bit on that. But when it comes to sales funnels, and I know this is going to sound a little crazy to some people because we preach that we aren't salespeople. We aren't salespeople. We're sharing products. And that's so true. We are just sharing products. But it is a business, and if you're running it like a business, it is important to learn about things to do with, make sure you're muting. I can't tell who's not muted. Thanks, guys. So with sales, you are still having to learn some techniques of people who are in the field of sales. So one of those things is a sales funnel. And I've got a document that I'm going to link to the video recording of this that'll have all these graphics and information in it for you. But a sales funnel is basically how we attract customers and then how we get them into a place to where we are profiting from them as part of our customer pool. And the first piece of a sales funnel is awareness and then interest. So people have to be aware of what you are, who you are, what you sell, what your brand is. And then people have to be interested. And part of that is marketing. We use social media and Instagram stories and Facebook stories because they gain people's interest. We put beautiful photos of warmers we're taking because they gain people's interest. Everything we do on social media is trying to catch the eye of other people in order to get them into that sales funnel where we can start having them consider our business, express their intent to engage with our business, and then purchase from us. And then we build relationships with them. So basically, marketing is kind of where it all begins when it comes to your business. It is a piece of your business, but it is the starting line for gaining that customer pool. So first of all, I wanted to make very clear that the marketing on your own profile and labeling of your own products is your number one priority, because like I said, the very base of that sales funnel is awareness. People have to know what you're a part of and what you're selling. So if people went to your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile, your Twitter, whatever kind of social media platform you're using, if they went to those places and they couldn't tell you're a consultant, you do not need to be spending a lot of time learning to make graphics. You should be pouring your time into making sure that you have that awareness piece covered, that people understand you're a consultant, that they know what you're selling, what your product is, and that's the first priority. I'm gonna have to learn how to mute a popping tree. There we go. Okay. So when you use graphics to capture attention, that's going to be the first thing that your customers see. So that is going to be your first impression on people. So you do want that first impression to be that awareness piece. So don't spend a bunch of time making graphics and labels if you haven't made people aware of who you are, what your brand is, and what your business is. So make sure your social media platforms are reflecting that. So my number one tip for personalizing marketing is to find what makes you you and embrace that. What makes you unique, what makes you relatable. So you want to be both the same and different to your customer pool. So for me, there are a lot of things that really set me apart from my customers. And then there are a lot of things that we have in common. I have a lot of teacher friends who are customers of mine. I have a lot of people in the special needs population who work with different areas of special needs and fundraising and things like that. So I have people that have a lot of things in common with me, but then I'm also very different from them. So I share everything about me on my social media platforms. I try to let people know me on levels that's not just Scentsy. That way they are learning me as a person, and my marketing isn't just Scentsy. And I am becoming my own brand, because that is what you want with business. You want to be your own brand. You want to add personal touches to your logos. You want to use language that's your own lingo. I know that as leaders, we always preach, don't copy and paste a post. Not only does it flag the Facebook algorithm as duplicate content, and it will not be exposed to as many people, but it also doesn't convey your voice. When I take a post that is written by somebody I know and I'm reading it, I can hear their voice. I can hear them saying it. Like my husband shared a post yesterday. I can't think of who it is. It was a funny post, and it was Jay Gilstrap. If you guys are locally upstate, you know what I'm talking about. He's like the loudmouth of the radio. But Jay Gilstrap have made a Facebook post from his business page about this deal with their car dealership, and Ryan shared the post and said, read this and tell me that you don't hear this in his voice. And that's so true. Like we heard him in our heads saying that as we read it. And that's how your customers should feel. They should see your face and hear your voice enough that when you're marketing and you're posting, they are like, oh, that's totally something she would say. And they're like laughing in their head, or they're smiling because they feel your warmth and kindness because they've heard you talk. So you don't want to take things from other people. You want to make everything your own as much as you possibly can. That way your marketing is your brand, which is you. You want to incorporate your own interests as much as possible. I'm going to share kind of towards the end some graphics that I have personally created just to kind of show some inspiration for just little tweaks you can do to your images in order to make them a really cool marketing and branding tool. But I did one recently that's for Scentsy Club, and I used it looks like the cover of the Fight Club movie. So Fight Club's book by Chuck Palahniuk, movie as well. Everybody usually knows the movie, but one of my favorite authors. So for me, people that know me were like, my sister was commenting and messaging me and being like, this is the best marketing promo you've ever had. Because it's me. It's not something I saw somebody else do and then I did it. It's something that shows my interest in me personally. It's different. And that's kind of the key to it. So there are a lot of people that you can look at in the world of Scentsy who have brilliant marketing that incorporates personal interests. I jotted down a couple names. If you guys know, and I hope I don't butcher your name, I'm sorry if I do, but Bailey Kunas, I think I'm saying her name right. Her marketing is amazing. Everything is like branded a certain way. She's like, the scented chick. And then Melanie McCourt, she has her little not an emoji, but a little avatar person that has little chicken, and it's adorable. And it's her interests. And Felicia Rhodes is another good one. She has chickens too. I picked a lot of people who have chickens, but their marketing always includes their personal interests, their lifestyle, things they're doing, which makes it relatable. It makes it unique and recognizable. Those are the things that stand out in people's heads. So just you'll rarely see me use graphics that are just like stock photos with background images or things like that. I always try to really, really personalize them and play them up. That way they are memorable for people. That way they scream my brand, which is me and my family. Ryan, mute yourself. So a big thing, I asked my team last night as I was working on this training, what are some questions you have about marketing? What are questions you have about branding, creating graphics? And they gave us a lot of feedback that was very helpful. So one of the big questions I get is printers with creating your own materials. So we have an HP Envy photo and we use HP Instant Ink. For us, we print so much that is a service that is very beneficial for us. You can look into it if that's something you're interested in. But there are a lot of great home printers that are very budget friendly. Now there are some very expensive printers that are higher quality, but honestly, like ours was, I don't remember the price of ours, but ours was very affordable. I didn't want to sink a lot of money into a printer. right now. So this one works for us and it's done a great job. But if you don't have a printer at home, that's no problem either. So you can get labels printed straight from Avery, where you're designing them, from Vistaprint, Amazon Prints, Online Labels, Sticker Giant. There's like millions of companies online, and Amazon's a cool one because I mean they ship really fast and everybody uses Amazon. But you can have your own products, labels and stickers and marketing materials, flyers, postcards, printed straight from companies like that. Materials that are nice to have at home, address labels, circle labels, square labels, and cardstock. And I keep both white and colored cardstock on hand. And I'll show you guys the labels that I use. These are just the Avery brand, but I've also used Amazon's brand of the same type, and they worked great too. And I will post links as well on the document that I'm putting up of the labels that we use. But typically when we order labels, we just look and see what's cheapest. So I will look up circle labels on Amazon, and if Avery's cheaper at that time, I get Avery. If Avery's not the cheapest, it's Amazon Basics is the cheapest, I get that. Because I'm all about not sinking that. I mean, we need an investment in our business, but I don't want that investment to be more than it needs to be. Any label is going to get the job done. So for graphics, and I know that's what most people were excited for with this training. So I have a couple things that I want to talk about, and then I'm going to show you guys some like screen recordings I took using the app Over, which is my #1 favorite app, to show you guys kind of some tips and tricks for creating those. So first off, like I said, be your brand. Pick a color scheme when you're creating your graphics and your logos and your labels, and stick with it. You can change it up every once in a while, like when the catalog season changes, but stick with something consistently. That way you are becoming your own brand. Pick a style, pick a few filters for your photos if you're using social media, and stick with those. I use the same set of 3 to 4 fonts. I use the same like 2 to 3 color schemes, like colors, 2 to 3 colors in my color scheme. And I use very similar photos on a lot of things. That way it is recognizable to my customers. If they saw something sitting on their countertop, it would catch their eye as, oh, that's a flyer from Casey and Ryan, and they would pick it up and read it. So that's kind of where you want to instill your brand into your customers. It shows consistency and it creates that brand. It takes an average of 7 times of seeing or hearing a brand to make it recognizable to somebody. So that's the whole reason behind that consistency of having that branding, of showing that, I don't know the word I'm looking for, like having the same type throughout it. Words. So brand it whenever you can is another good tip. So this will be something I'll be showing how to make, is watermarks. So if you're watermarking your images, and my team knows that anytime they see a photo I've taken that has a watermark on it, all they have to do is message me and I'll send them the unwatermarked image. And I'll do that even for people that aren't on our team. But for me, having that watermark there is putting that brand in my customer's mind. That's the point of it. It's not so people won't steal my photos, because sometimes they're photos a friend took. But I put that watermark on my photos so that people are seeing my name, they're seeing my brand, they're seeing my logo, and they're going to have that stuck in their mind. You want people, when we see Starbucks sign, we're like, Starbucks, go for it. I want people to be so wrapped up and invested in our business that our logo means something to them. So that's very important for me. You want to have personal information and contact information on absolutely everything you can, which is important. And you want to put your family and yourself into your graphics as much as possible. So personalizing things is just the key. You want to make sure that you are including that contact information. And a good way to do that is QR codes. And I've had a lot of questions about those. So on this document, I'm also linking what I use to create mine. So I use the QR code generator there's a couple websites that are kind of named the same thing. So I made sure to put the link here for you guys. And then I usually get a lot of questions about where my QR codes go. So I'm going to screen share with you guys to show you. Hold on, this is on the, everything's in my way here. There we go. I'm going to show you guys where my link tree goes, like what mine looks like when I go to it, because I think it is a very, very useful resource. So screen share. Here's what mine looks like. So mine goes straight to this. It has my little picture up top. That's my same picture that I have on my Facebook profile, so they can associate that together. They can go here straight to my PWS. Here they go straight to Scentsy Club information. Here's my Facebook business page, Instagram, our VIP group, join link, requesting a join packet, and requesting a personal shopping link, which I advertise those a lot during the holiday season. So I will update this to a holiday shopping link in the holiday season, obviously. So that is what my link tree looks like. Let me stop sharing. Okay, let me go back full screen here. All right, so I have included on the document that I'm going to share with you guys the link to my QR codes, a link to the website for Linktree so that you can create your own, and a link to show you what mine looks like. That way kind of get some ideas and inspiration on what things to link from that, but you can put anything there, which is nice because if there's something that you want to, like if you post something on Instagram and you're like taking up pre-orders for something, and you can say there's a link in my bio, and you can change your link tree to have a new button anytime. So you could add the Child Scentsy Buddy pre-orders at the top, where they click on that and go straight to your Google form and fill that out. So you can change the links at any time. That is a great marketing tool because it's in one little bitty square on your labels. You can connect them to so many different platforms and so much information from your business. So when you're creating graphics, here are my big tips. Now these are some pretty general tips, but when you're creating graphics, you first want to think about the purpose of it. Why are you creating that graphic? Are you trying to catch attention? Are you trying to increase the engagement? Are you trying to boost sales? Or are you just trying to inform your customers? Because that is important. And who's your target audience? Obviously, I know that on my social media training, I've talked about how Facebook right now is more of our middle-aged, older population. And Instagram is where we have all of our like 25 and below population is, there's a higher percentage of those on Instagram. So depending on where you're posting, your content might be a little bit different because you are talking to a different general audience. So colors are a big thing to consider. Like I said, you want to stick to the same 2 or 3 colors, 2 preferably. Color schemes, they set the mood for what you're portraying. They convey your image. If they're too busy, they can deter from your message. And then the colors should also create a contrast. So you don't want to use 2 colors that are too similar to one another because it's not going to create that contrast that's going to make your graphic pop. And then when you're putting text on your graphics, the less text you're using, the better. The simpler, the better. And then where are you putting this graphic is a good thing to consider. So if it's going to be in a flyer that I'm putting customer mail outs, I can get away with a little bit of smaller fonts. But if I'm putting it on Facebook where somebody's reading it on their phone and it's this size, using a teeny tiny font is not going to be a good idea. Okay, we're good. So you sticking to 2 to 3 fonts, preferably 2, so that 2 is kind of the go-to number there. 2 colors, 2 to 3 colors, 2 to 3 fonts, and staying that way. You also want to contrast your fonts the same way you contrast a color. So if you're using a curly, frilly, scripted font for your heading, then you would want to use a very plain, basic font to pair with that. It keeps it from being too busy. It keeps it to where they're very distinguished as being separate sets of text and information, which is important. I hope I'm not talking too fast, guys. I always feel like I'm motor mouthing. So some good apps, and again, I'm going to kind of show you guys some of these things in just a second, but some great apps for graphic design. Over is what I use 99.9% of the time. I don't like to overcomplicate things, so when I pick something I like, I stick with it. So I like the Over app. I've made it work for everything I've needed, so that's what I stick with. You can also use Canva, and I'm going to show something from Canva we've created. Photofy is a great app, especially because they have a Scentsy partnership. So they have a lot of the warmers and little logos and overlays and things like that that come straight from Scentsy, which makes editing photos a breeze when you're looking for something Scentsy related. And I can point out where I might have used something like that on some of the graphics I'm going to share. WordSwag is a good one. Mojo. That is an app that's really great for Instagram stories. It already has the formatting. It's very like slide formatted and like a slideshow, and has really cool transitions and collages. So that is a neat app to use if you're trying to get more involved on Instagram stories. Afterlight is an app that I use for photo filters a lot. If I'm needing to edit a photo that I took to kind of change the color scheme of it. And Bitmoji, that is an app that I use a lot. I know a lot of people have these really cute graphics that graphic designers make that are like a little caricature of them, and I love those. I really, really love those. And there's different styles of them. I know Jamie has one that looks a little more realistic, and then there are some that have like Melanie and Chloe both have one that are kind of like just basic colors, like almost like an outline, a silhouette-ish. I don't know how to explain it, but there's different art styles of them. But for me, I didn't want to sink any money into that yet. So I just used Bitmoji because it's a free app, and I have created my little character, and I'm putting this little character all over everything. And I'll show you guys how I've kind of streamlined my labels and my marketing to match. And I've got that little character on a lot of the stuff. So once you've created like your graphics, one of the biggest tips is to keep them general, simple. That way you can reuse them, because it does take time to create these things. So you want to get as much use out of it as you possibly can. So if you create them a little more generalized, then you can reuse it for different times of the year or different purposes. And once you've created them, like in the app Over, I can go to my projects and find something I created, and I can kind of duplicate it and morph it into something different that I'm needing. So the good thing is that a lot of times once you've invested the time into making the graphic, then you're pretty good. You can reuse it. So I'm going to screen share here for a second and show. I'm going to screen share from my phone to show some videos from Over creating apps, or creating graphics, sorry. So this one is going to kind of show what I mean by being able to reuse and utilize graphics you've already created. I'm syncing my phone up. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. This is screen sharing from my phone. So this is going to show you guys, this is on Over. And I am taking a graphic I've already created that I used in May and changing it to June. And then I'm going to swap out the background. So for July, I was going with more of the red, white, and blue kind of theme. And with over, you can change what layers are on top of one another. So I'm going to click on those squares up top and move that background to where it's behind everything, and then delete the leaves I used in June. And there it is. And then I just save it to my phone from there. So that is a really easy way to use graphics you've already used before. And so here I'm going to walk through, can I pause this? Okay, so here I am creating a logo that will be a transparent background. So this is basically what a watermark is. So on over, you can choose, I'll restart it, that way you guys can see. At the beginning, you can choose to create it on a transparent background instead of a color. And that way you can save it and use it on top of other images. So I'm scrolling over to where there's a font that I use really often on my marketing materials. And then I'm going to go over to shadow. Now this makes the text pop a little bit. You want to line it up. And then I usually change the opacity of the shadow to where you can see it a little better. And then, like I said, when you use a fancy font like that, you want to pair it with something a little more simple and plain. And with this one, I really like taking this font and making it small and then spacing the letters out to where it's the same width as the word on top, just because it makes it look more uniform and symmetrical. And then I just save it from there, and you can use it on top of anything. So I'm going into my images and pulling up a photo that I took. These are our laundry shelves. And then I go to the images, logos, and then I'm going to actually add that photo that I just created, that graphic, as a logo so that I can come here and reuse it anytime. And then I'm going to put it in the corner of my photo or wherever I want it. And what I typically do then is go over to the opacity and I make it a little more translucent to where it does look like it's not drawing their attention straight to it. Instead, it's kind of like just a branding on top of that photo. So that is a really easy way to create logos. So here's what it looks like on my phone. So it looks white there because it has a transparent background. I was thinking I made another one, but. So like here's a graphic that I created, and I have used this in multiple ways. So I'll show you guys from the Over app. I can go over to my projects, and I can take, like when somebody promotes, I can take this. Leslie, I'm using your photo, thank you. And I can go over to logos, and I can pick one of my overlays and put it on top of the same photo. So like I said, it takes time the first time you make it, but then once you have a graphic ready, then you can change it up. So this we use on our team page a lot, and I just changed the text up. I used it this month for, I use it for a Monday memo, I use it for PRV posts, and I just go in and change it to what I need it to be. So initial time, but then you can reuse it, which is very nice. So I'm going to screen share. Let me click stop share from my computer really quick to show you guys some of the images I was talking about. So okay, so I'm going to screen share again, and this is going to be from my computer to show you guys. And this is a document I'm going to link to our YouTube video. So you will have access to this because that's the sales funnel I was talking about. and how that initial piece there is awareness and interest, which is where your marketing and your graphics are going to come in. And then I have the links here that I said would be there with the QR codes and my link tree. And then I have concluded some examples here so I could kind of go through and show you. So this here for a training I did, again, you can go in and reuse it. You can change the title of the training, the date. So once you've created one, you can use it many, many times. When you put labels on products, you want them to be a little more simple. And all of these fonts and stuff is straight from the app Over. And QR codes, I save those as logos on there as well so that I can put them in very quickly on whatever document that I want them attached to. This is a banner photo on my Facebook. So like I said, that sales funnel, you want that awareness piece to be the #1 thing. So if your Facebook and Instagram doesn't scream, I'm a Scentsy consultant, this is what I do, then that should be your first marketing step that you're working on. This is our team logo here that is also created from Over. And it can be, I use that as a watermark as well. And anything that I do with my team, I try to add that in some sort of way just to kind of make everything cohesive. It looks very professional. This photo, I did not take this photo. It was shared by a friend, and I added the text over it from Over. So your marketing photos, you can team up with other people and create them. And this is the one that I was talking about where I said that you need to use your own originality and things that make you you. So like I was saying, that's something that's one of my favorites and one of my interests. And so incorporating it into my Marketing for Scentsy Club made a lot of people laugh who knew me because that's just me to them. So it's important to loop in. You can also create marketing photos very easily with the photos Scentsy gives us. So at the start of a new catalog season like we're about to have, we're going to run into the problem to where people don't have personally taken photos of these new products, especially since we're not going to be at SFR in person. So the stock photos Scentsy gives us are all we're going to have until we get a lot of these products in our hands. So when the new catalog launched, I took a lot of those stock photos and instead of just posting them as is, I added text over them to make them more interesting, to give a little information and put my logo on it. That way it is branding. I'm not saying here's a random photo I got from my company. I'm saying, hey, this is our family's business. Here's a new one we're excited about and we're sharing it with you. So it just conveys a different message. Again, with the reusing, we do mystery bags with our VIP customers. It's just something our family does that's very much part of our brand. And I like to use our kids' pictures and family photos to advertise those. So this one on the left is our youngest daughter, and I did fruit-themed bags in May. And then in June, we did some traveling ones that were themed around different countries. And I used the same image and I just changed the letters and wording on Over. And it literally took me like 2 minutes to make those changes. And yes, the initial post took me some time to make. But then when I had this one, it was such a nice graphic to be able to use for marketing that did not take me as long because I was able to use a template I'd already created for myself. So here's what I was saying with the generality. This is our 2 dogs. We need an updated one because this little dog on the bottom is bigger than her now. But I just put the ballot cups approve this message. That way, anytime I do a marketing post or in a Facebook party talking about pet products, I can include that photo so that it is a piece of our family. It's a piece of our brand. But it doesn't have very specific information on it to where I can only use it 1 or 2 times. I can use it over and over again. When we had the Join special, I created my own flyers showing our face, our family, my own text that is catching the attention. So again, what's your purpose? Well, here I wanted people to stop and read my post about this new Join special. People aren't going to sit and read a really long post unless you have caught their attention first. So that was the intention with the graphics I created for that. This logo here I created, this was also on Over, and this is my sponsor Jamie, that's her team name, and that was the logo that I created for her to use, and now it's on t-shirts and everything, which is pretty cool. And then so we have Join the Journey photos. In the winter time, I took a picture of my daughter when a whole bunch of bricks came in. So just utilize every opportunity you have to create marketing materials. If your kid is standing beside a product and it looks like a cute shot, take it, add text, add your watermark or website, and you've got some great marketing materials. Again, with QR codes, you can also use these for party links. So that's very beneficial. Here's with more stock photos. And this is what I showed you guys on the video a minute ago, to where you can change up the backgrounds. And this black part here, this is just where on Over you just add a shape. So I added a shape, and then you just change the opacity to where it's see-through, so that it makes the text pop a little against a busier background, where you can have the pretty background but still have your text be at the forefront and noticeable. And then here's our littlest when we had 10% off back in, is that December or January? It was January, yeah. I believe. It's whenever 6 packs were $27. So I think it was January. And so down here, I use this customized cover photo for online Facebook parties. I use the PhotoFi app to go into these circles right here and add in products that hostess either really, really loves or they're on her wish list. So I might have some washer whips, a warmer she likes here, a bar of her favorite wax here, just to make it very, very personalized and custom. And this was a photo. I didn't take this photo, but I loved it. So when we had the Himalayan salt warmers, instead of just sharing this photo, I added some cool, fun text on top of it. Again, here I'm utilizing the spacing tool on Over to where I can make the text, the letters closer and farther away from one another to make everything uniform and the same width. And then here's where I was talking about that's the word I was searching for earlier, streamlining for a cohesive look. This is where I use the Bitmoji app to get this little person that looks like me. They didn't have a person with rainbow colors in their hair, so I just went with pink. But these will be, this template here was shared by Chloe in the Google Drive for Always Get My Bar marketing materials. But I want me on everything. I want something that is associated with my brand on everything I use. So I added in my little Bitmoji there. I added my Bitmoji and QR code here. These go on my square stickers, and these are all created straight from Over. The little Casey Bowick Scentsy Family Director is a logo on Over I use. And then I get my little people from the Bitmoji app. So it's super easy. And so, I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. So I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna share from my phone. Sorry if I'm all over. This is the way my brain works, y'all. So I'm just gonna pull up like a blank background on my phone and share here again. Because sometimes there might be an image that you want to use, but you don't want all of it. So I'm gonna show you how to fix that. So my Bitmoji app, so I can go in here and I can choose like whatever I want. So say I want to use this little person here, but I don't want her saying yes on whatever image I'm creating. So when I'm in Over and, well, I want this to be on. So I'm in Over and I'm going to add that little image that I just picked out, but I don't want that text there. So say I'm wanting to put something here about Scentsy Club. I scroll over the tools to the tool that's called Mask. Now the completely solid circle is gonna have very blunt edges, which is fine in this case, but if you're using a photo of yourself, which I'll show you what I mean. You might want to use this one that has the softer edges just because it doesn't look as obviously touched up. And you can zoom to make it a lot easier. And this can be super tedious depending on, it's a lot easier when you're using a little Bitmoji image, but when I use images of our like family, it's a lot harder to do sometimes. But so now I have this little person on here and it's not cooperating with me. Okay, so I can change the size and then add text. So that's nice. It's a good little tool. And I have a project where I use this. So I created a video showing this too. So let me find that. Okay, let's just go to videos. There's all my Instagram stories, guys. It's got to be one of these. Okay. So I am here, I'm showing you how to do that same thing I just did with the little Bitmoji person, but with yourself. And I'm not going to walk you through this entire process because it is tedious. So I'm just kind of showing this masking tool here because you do have to zoom in and get pretty close to the edges depending on what color background you're using it on. If you're using it on top of white, it's a little more forgiving. But on black, every little detail that you leave kind of shows up a little more obvious. But I had kind of pre-prepared this image to where it's movable. So I like doing this because I can add myself to graphics without it being like a photo from my house. So I have myself here, and then I change the opacity a little bit. And then I go into graphics, and I just searched for glitter. So for this one, I chose this gold glitter and just stretched it to where it was larger in the background. And then you go to that layer button and just move your little person out front. So the opacity was a little too much here. So I moved it up. And then I like using the shapes to kind of add a separate section where you can add your text. So I kind of make that a little side panel here. And then again, you change the opacity just so you can still kind of see that glitter behind it, but it is a different shade there. So then I add my logo on top of it. And again, I use that same logo on everything because that consistency is very important. People will start to associate that with your materials. And I'm not gonna make you guys watch all the way through this, but the end result of that was this graphic here. So I created each section of text. So once I got the number 3 to look exactly how I wanted it with the shadowing exactly how I wanted it, all I did was click on it and click duplicate and then double click to change that to the next line of text that I wanted to make so that I didn't have to change the settings on the text 500 times. Okay, so that was a lot, and I feel like I'm kind of scattered sometimes, but hopefully that was helpful to some of you. Again, it's kind of just a trial and error process when you are learning to create graphics on apps like that. I also have one. Check the chat. I'll check the chat in just a second. I was going to share with you guys the Canva. Oh, I've got this open on my computer. Okay. I can't get it to pull up right now, but I'm going to attach it I'm going to attach it to the document that I said that I was going to put in the description of this training. But I was showing a newsletter that I created using Canva, just so you can get an idea of things you can create with Canva. Again, Canva's not my route of choice for creating graphics, but it is very useful for making things like newsletters. So if I'm on a computer, a lot of times I'll use Canva, but if I'm on my phone, which is what I'm usually creating graphics from, then I just use Over. I use Over for like everything. So I hope this was helpful. Again, we'll be posting the link. If you ever have any questions about using those apps, I have people message me all the time asking me how I did things with graphics. I'm always happy to screen record whatever I did to make that happen and sharing it with you so that you can create it yourself too, because I know that it is a trial and error, tedious process to learn those skills. And I benefit so much from other leaders who have strengths in areas that I don't have. So I like to share where I can with something that I am good at. So thank y'all for hopping on tonight. Yeah, check chat.